The current 5th generation Toyota 4Runner is an awesome vehicle with a great reputation over its 13 going on 14-year lifespan. It's got great off-road capabilities, legendary reliability, and I think they look pretty good too. Everybody seems to love them, and honestly so do I. And yet, I don't want one. Coming up, I'm going to share with you why I chose to stick with my old trusty 4th gen here, and why you might want to do so as well. So why do I think you should buy a 4th gen 4Runner? Well, for starters, there's the price difference. I just looked, and here in Canada, a brand new 2023 TRD Pro 4Runner is $70,000. That's crazy to me. Perhaps even crazier is the fact that used models with 30,000 kilometers on them or so are still listing in the used market for $69,000. Now, of course, comparing a brand new vehicle to an old used one like this is kind of apples to oranges in terms of a comparison. So to be more fair, I went on Kijiji and I looked at some of the used listings here in Ontario. I found this 2003 V8 model that's listed for $12,000. And in comparison, here's a 2015 SR5 model with the same mileage for $25,000. That's more than double the price. Now you might be thinking, well, the new one is so much more money because it's a lot more truck. It's got more features, it's way more updated. You're comparing a new one with an old one, of course the new one is better. But hold on. What if I told you both of these 4Runners are actually really similar underneath? Despite the drastically different exterior styling, the 4th and 5th generation 4Runners are actually very similar mechanically. The frames are essentially the same, although I do believe the 5th gen might have a few extra braces here and there. They share the same suspension design overall, although the 5th gen did have KDSS available. They have the same independent front suspension, same solid rear axle setup across both generations. A good example of this is actually the Old Man Emu rear springs that I have in my 4Runner were originally considered a 5th generation part number on 4-wheel parts, and yet they bolted up into my truck perfectly. The brakes aren't exactly the same. The 4th gen was kind of known for sticky brake calipers, and that's something that they did improve for the 5th gen, so a lot of people do upgrade their 4th gens to 5th gen brake calipers. The 3rd generation Tacoma is the current 5th gen 4Runner's sibling, and it received an all-new 3.5 liter V6 engine. The 4Runner, however, has stuck with the same 4 liter V6 since 2003. And that's not necessarily a bad thing because a lot of Toyota truck enthusiasts will prefer the 4 liter V6 over the 3.5 liter. Now, that's kind of a story for another day. We'll cover that in a different video perhaps, but for now, we'll just leave that there. But anyways, that's right folks, you heard it correctly. You can spend $70,000 on a brand new TRD Pro 4Runner and get the same 4 liter V6 engine as my 2006 Tacoma here. That's kind of a tough pill to swallow. By the way, if you love this kind of Toyota content, make sure to head down to the description and sign up for my email newsletter. Let's be friends. The 4th gen was the only 4Runner to ever offer a V8 engine, and as far as we know, there's no reason to believe that Toyota is ever going to do it again. With all of the climate change and the rising gas prices, it looks like Toyota is heading in the direction of turbocharged 4-cylinders and hybrids and stuff like that. We'll be lucky to see a V6 in the 4Runner in the next generation, and we definitely won't be seeing a V8 anytime soon. Yes, it's bad on gas, and yeah, you gotta change the timing belt every 100,000 miles. But aside from that, I truly believe the 4.7 V8 is a far superior engine over the 4 liter V6, and I own both of them. It's smoother, it has lots of torque, it's got a more usable power band, it sounds fantastic, and it really wakes up if you put a set of headers on it, but maybe we'll talk about those in a different video. Now, I'll admit that straight out of the box, the 4th generation 4Runner is a little bit bland and a little soccer momish. Some people prefer its more subtle styling, but I have to admit, I think the 5th gen might be slightly cooler looking. There's plenty of modifications available to make your 4th gen look more aggressive though. Even just upgrading the suspension and the wheels and tires can make a really big difference. Now, if you got deeper pockets, the choices are endless. You've got aftermarket bumpers, lighting, different grills, roof racks, there's lots to choose from in the aftermarket world. With all that said though, the 5th gen does indeed have a little bit stronger aftermarket support than the 4th gen. And I'm not sure why that is. It might just be that the 5th gen has been around for more model years than the 4th gens, and so there's probably just more of them out there. And it's the current model, so companies are a little bit more incentivized to keep creating new products for them. The 4th gens have kind of come and gone, I guess, in the market. Believe it or not, Toyota actually dropped a few things when it moved to the 5th gen 4Runner. It lost the locking fuel door with the release inside the cabin, and it switched to just a finger pull. The antenna that used to be integrated into the windshield glass is gone back to just an old school style wire one mounted on the fender. And up until recent 5th gen models, things like projector headlights and LED taillights were a thing of the past. Now, I don't want to be completely biased towards the 4th gen because it's definitely lacking in this department. The interior design was one of the biggest changes that they made when they switched to the 5th gen, and it really shows. Now, don't get me wrong, the quality of the 4th gen interior is still really good. It's just not quite as fancy and cool looking as the 5th gens are. Connectivity is probably the biggest complaint here, and that can easily be solved by upgrading the head unit to a more modern one that has Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Combining that with hands-free calling makes it feel a lot more modern compared to the old original dinosaur stereo. 5th gens are a lot more popular these days, and it seems like it's more common to see them built up and modified. They're all over YouTube and social media, and in contrast, I've actually received quite a few emails and messages thanking me for creating 4th gen content here because aside from this channel and a few others, there just hasn't really been a whole lot of it out there. So if you want to be a little bit more unique than like the typical Toyota truck guys, maybe a 4th gen is a good choice for you. So in the end, for less than half the price of a TRD Pro 4Runner, I was able to build this one. And it's got a lot of the same stuff that a TRD Pro has. It's got Fox suspension, it's got more aggressive wheels and tires, it's got a cool roof rack, it's got a modern head unit. It doesn't have a locking rear differential, it doesn't have crawl control. Those are two things that you have to get a 5th gen in order to take advantage of. But aside from that, I've walked away with an awesome modified 4Runner that it's unique to me, it's personalized. It does what a TRD Pro can do, way cheaper, and the piece de resistance, I got a V8 engine in mine, and there's nobody with a 5th gen that can say that. As far as me owning a 5th gen 4Runner someday, never say never. I have no problem with them. I do really like them. For now, I just don't really see how it fits in. I don't want to get rid of this one anytime soon, and I don't really need two of them. So this one's gonna be sticking around for quite a while longer. Now, if you want to see a more detailed breakdown of the build on my 4Runner here, make sure to watch this video next, and I will catch you guys on the next one. See ya.